Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Three Dads and a Console.
Did you have a really hard time?
Nailed it.
You had to think about that for a second?
No, I had to turn my lights on, and it was going to be a little more fluid. We know not every dad can stay up to date on the latest and greatest in video game news that you need to know about. So we are here to do it for you. Remember, this show is kid-friendly, so no earmuffs are needed. Now on the show, I'm one of your hosts, Wobble Plays, alongside Pez.
What? I get top billing tonight? Oh, wow.
How have you been, Pez?
I'm delightful. Thank you very much.
What have you been up to?
You know, I for those that don't know, I am the elder statesman of the dads, meaning that I have the oldest children.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm definitely the oldest. Yeah.
I'm not.
So we hit quite a large milestone. My daughter bought her first car.
This is huge.
So my daughter's
How big are the rims? Are they spinning?
They are 24-inch spinners. So she bought her. So she bought a 2012 Nissan Rogue. Picked it up today. We helped with some of the down payment. Decided not to finance. So she has.
Is it a roguelike or roguelite? Oh, video game joke.
I like it. So she handled the insurance payment and the state taxes because we bought it in New Hampshire.
Good. Never mind.
Yeah, so she paid the state tax and all the registration fees and whatnot. So she is officially her first like real adulting thing, and I was very proud of her.
How old is she?
She's 20.
Wow, so she's like right now, like picking up her friends, going to the drive-through, go and get some Dunkins.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
sorry, what do you guys call it? Dunkies?
Donkeys,
Dunks.
Dunks as an old man. I call it dunks.
Why would we use more syllables than we need?
Do now as a non-dunks person, do they have a hot chocolate? Because I don't drink coffee.
Yes.
So I'm just
Mhm.
okay. So when we're in less than a month, when we us three are together, I want to get a hot chocolate in the morning.
causing absolute chaos all
Chaos.
around Boston, led by the Chaos
Actually,
King
Pez,
himself.
we're gonna
Pez
have to
boy.
go to Dunkin's. We're gonna have to go to Dunk's drive-through as soon as we get to Boston, and I gotta film it. And then
That's all Pez does. Every time I've hung out with him, he's like, "Yeah, let me just stop at Dunks real quick." Like,
well, he's got to get a nice coffee.
Yeah,
everywhere.
So everyone wonders like why when I go somewhere I bring a nice coffee, and really it is not only my love of coffee, but then it is what I can drink out of, like when I want to just get water or whatnot. So it's a 2-for-1 there. It's a 2-for-1.
Right.
Why get a nice coffee and carry a water bottle around all day when I can just do the same
Pez,
thing?
I need to ask you this.
Yep.
So she's just bought a car.
Mm-hmm.
How close is she to breaking your heart and moving out of the house?
Oh, she's been moved out for 2 years.
Oh, I
She
thought she
moved
was
out
still
at-
living with you.
nope, she moved
so
out
when
at
you bought
18.
this new house, when you bought the
I bought the house
yeah.
in October of September of 21, and then she was gone by November, her 18th birthday.
Oh,
And she's been on her own for 2 years, living with her boyfriend and his father. And she doesn't pay rent, so she saved a bunch of money because she works
Hi,
full
Queen.
time. So she she's been taking care of herself, and I'm really happy. And yeah, this was our first thing, and she did a great job. I was really proud
job.
of her.
that's awesome.
I'm proud of you for going to New Hampshire because Massachusetts is actually like thieving when it comes to vehicles.
Yeah, it was awful. We walked into, my wife had the bright idea of going to a dealership down in Beverly, Massachusetts, and I walked
She doesn't
in.
listen to the pod for anybody knowing, so Pez can say whatever he wants.
I've already said this to her. I said it to her the moment we
Said it-
got in the car. And she
Cat.
was like, we should she's like, oh, mate, because we had a cap of like 5,000, right? It's her
Hi,
first
Queen.
car. It's her first car. Let her just like beat it up if she wants. Just don't get in any accidents. She's like, oh, well, there's a dealership. Why don't we go there? I said, they're not going to have anything for under $5,000. What are you, crazy? So I walk out. Guy sizes us up from the window, comes out. Hey, everybody, how's it going? And my daughter's like, oh, I'm looking for, I go, you have a used car for under $5,000? And he went, no, but, and I went, great, thank you. And we all got in the car and we drove home.
Smart.
I was
Ruined
like,
his day.
we're not
You got in
going
the car.
to do this.
He turned to his wife and he was like, "Suck it, you're wrong."
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I was like, I told you. And she's like, shut up. I was just taking a shot. I go, hey, sometimes shoot is shoot and shoot. And then we both
wow.
laughed. No,
Take
and then
that,
we
Austin
both
Matthews.
we both laughed because
Hey, dude, Austin. Speaking of what Court did last night,
Yep.
Austin Matthews was invisible. So as for the people that listen to this, all three of us are hockey fans, and so
Yeah.
I go check. My cousin was in town, and he was playing against the Toronto Maple Laughs, the Maple Leafs, but the Toronto Make Me Laughs. So even though they'd won 7 in a row, this is what I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself here, Pez. The Leafs were favored to win the hockey game. The Leafs have been on a 7-game heater on the road. This is their first game back at home. So this is their in hockey terms, this is their give. They can give this game away. Like it's one of those ones where the coach is not going to get mad, all that kind of stuff. But most teams that can overcome adversity and they're good, they don't do that. They come back and they still continue to win. The Toronto Maple Leafs, in perfect fashion, they pushed back for maybe 2 minutes of this hockey game. The first 2 minutes of the game, the first shift from the Knights was absolutely terrible. You get a good pushback, and then Vegas literally pushed the other way, and they tilted the ice. Vegas was without Jack Eichel, who did skate for the first time in Toronto. He's not going to play tomorrow night in Boston, but he probably looks like he's more going to play in Chicago or Columbus. Mark Stone is gone, but the Knights got their defense back. I watched a great hockey game. Mitch Marner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, very good hockey player. He plays a very good defensive game. He almost scored a couple shorthanded goals. He was great. Nylander, the offense on the Toronto Maple Leafs, whether Matthews scores 70 goals or not this year, the offense runs through this guy. He's the one who does every break into the zone. Everything goes through him. Literally, here's an encapsulation of the whole night. My wife, she watches hockey, but like, if I asked her what number Austin Matthews wears, she has no clue. So I have to tell her players. At the end of the night, she goes, I was like, oh, Austin Matthews, I was like, oh, he almost scored there. She goes, I didn't even know he was playing.
what?
He was invisible. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When it comes to playing against big teams, because the Vegas Golden Knights, they're a big team and they push people around. This is when this guy becomes invisible. He gets his points and his goals against garbage teams.
Mm-hmm.
He will probably go down as the greatest goal scorer ever in USA hockey. 100%. 70 goals is nothing to laugh at. He is a goal scorer, but he's not a winner. He doesn't, and it's very interesting because I was listening to Spitting Chicklets today, and they had Sam Reinhart on, and he was talking about, they call the guys over at Chicklets to call the Florida Panthers the Goons, and I kind of like it. It's like the 2011 Bruins. Like,
Ugh,
if
but
the game's getting boring, they just start mucking it up. That's what the Panthers are. You watch Panthers hockey right now, and it's awesome. Like, as much as people don't like Cousins, guess what? He's a young Brad Marchand. We'd all want him on our team.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Fair enough.
Kachuk is he's the guy's an animal. He's an animal. So they were talking to him, and he's like, well, we just go into teams, and when you play boring teams, you muck it up and you get crazy. And I recently was in Vegas, and I was talking to someone about the Leafs, and they were like, well, one, their coach gets out coached on a regular basis, and two, there's no pushback from the team. Toronto Maple Leafs could be a Stanley Cup contender, but they're never going to be. And unfortunately, as much as Austin Matthews can do whatever he wants, he can score 70 goals a year. He won't even be the leading point getter on his team. So he's like having these Hart aspirations. It's never going to happen. He's not winning a Hart trophy. It ain't happening. He is just going to get his 70 goals, give him his Rocket Richard. He is not going to win the Hart. Right now, I would say, for me personally, I would say it's either going to go to Kucherov, because that guy's a stud, McKinnon, or I can't believe I'm going to say this, I'm not going to say McDavid. I think Matthew Tkachuk deserves it. Guy's got, 30 points in 12 games right now. He's been the heart and soul of that hockey club. Florida Panthers chug as him as the conductor. But I also say this, as just you went to a Vegas Golden Knights game and then went to the game in Toronto Maple Leafs arena, the only reason it's loud is because they have like music going on, but it is a pin drop at all times.
Yeah. It seems
Especially when
like
they're losing, I bet.
it seems like your typical overpriced corporate crowd.
Yeah, I had amazing seats. I was in row 18. I got to see my buddy Dave from Console Creatures. His brother happens to play for the Knights, but still, he was there too. It was a very good time. But I pulled the old man move with 5 minutes left in the game.
Called it.
I left. I
You're
left
like,
early.
"Yep, time to
Oh,
beat the
yeah.
traffic in Dundas Square."
Honestly, it's the ultimate dad move. When I go to Boston, when I go to a game, I'm usually staying at a hotel, so it's no big deal. I'll stay to the end. But if I am driving to any concert, any theater, or anything like that, unless it's a movie, if there is a large crowd capacity over 1,000, I am getting in my car and I am leaving before everybody else, so we do not have to sit in traffic. Because this old guy, he needs to get home and get some Betty Buys. I still didn't get home till late.
This old man,
I,
he hit one.
how about this? There was 5 minutes. There was just about 8 minutes left in the game when I left. I was able to walk to my car, get in the car, drive home. I was almost home when the game finally ended. That's how long it took between TV timeouts. I was still able to listen to the game in my car.
That's crazy.
And the Leafs lost 6-2, so it was beautiful.
I mean, it's always a good day when the Maple Leafs lose.
Maple laughs. Let's
On a
call them
7-game win streak because the losers.
Hey, Vegas is actually canceled, so that's why I was going to bet on the Knights but I try not to bet on Bruce's team because I feel it's awkward. But
It's not. People inside trade all the time.
Yeah,
That's
what are
not
you, a
interesting.
It's
U.S.
fine here.
senator? What are you, a U.S. senator inside trading over here?
I know. It's easy. Literally everyone does it. So
Settle down, Nancy Pelosi
anyways,
over there.
yeah, but you can't have inside information. I didn't have inside information on the game. It's just I look at
it's like every
when Vegas isn't favored and they haven't been playing well. And the last time they played a team that was on a heater, they beat them. They lost to Toronto in Vegas, and they have a great home record, so they have more to give. Plus, they have their defense back for the first time in 6 games, healthy in a long time. And I also looked at the fact that Bruce is very good at outcoaching Sheldon Keefe, which he did it again.
Yep.
They did a very good job of getting bodies behind the Leafs defense, but they had so many like breakaways. I was just like, it was a well game. It was a coach game because Toronto had the better team and Vegas won the hockey game.
You know, if only Toronto could send out tough guy Ryan Reeves to mess it up a bit, but they can't because he also stinks.
Yeah, he's a bag of pucks.
He is a bag of pucks. And what do they have? Where they drag out the corpse of Martin Jones every other start now?
Mind you, the Leafs are playing the Rangers this weekend, and the rumor on the street is, what's his name? What's that new kid's name in the
Rempe.
Rangers? Rempe. He's gonna go Reeves. It's gonna be fight night in Madison Square Garden, dude.
This dude's face is just gonna collapse at some point.
Dude looks like the head orc. The one who's like, back on the menu, boys. The dude looks like a creature.
So, Waba, what have you been up to?
I partook in GWC this past week, and let me tell you, playing 25 games in 3 days is not fun.
For anybody that doesn't play the game, what is that?
That is, I would say, the big tournament, but it's been happening for the past few months, and I don't understand it. And if you want to hear me rant, you can hear me on Twitter. I don't want to bore you guys with that. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a video for us about that because I've got feelings. But basically,
you have feelings? We thought you were empty and a dead soul inside, but okay.
No, that's never. Sorry, I was trying to make him
feelings in this economy.
Right? But no, it's basically so you have 25 games and like the top. I don't even know what the top X make it through. So I'm just gonna say you needed 19 wins. I got 12. I thought I was gonna get 15, but like the Bruins, I kept losing in overtime.
Dude,
which is fine.
Yeah, I actually agreed with the Toronto radio today. They need to trade Allmark.
Maybe.
You can't go into the playoffs and only be playing one of the 2 best goalies when one of them can turn you into something else.
You're not going to rotate, and you're not going to rotate goalies in the playoffs.
Sorry, Waba. You brought up Bruins.
No, it's fair and valid. But yeah, so that was, I mean, again, it was fine. You know, I have qualified before, and I was saying to people because they're like, oh, like, you know, whatever. I'm like, let me tell you this. I've qualified for GWC.
I think it was like 2018 stream when everybody was calling you out. You're like, I've qualified. I'm like, good. And then you got murdered 2 games in a row.
That's it's shocking. But like, I can say this: I have qualified more than your average EA NHL player.
You said that on your stream as well.
Which is disgusting. Yeah. Like hearing that statement should make you mad if you haven't. So I have. So I've tasted glory.
Hold on. Why?
Because at the time it was 4 rounds. It was like top.
You sound like a Leaf fan.
Yeah, right. Back in the day,
back in 1967,
I think it was like top 25 made it through. Yeah, right. Top 25 made it through each time, and I made it through on week 3.
How many?
I made it through on week 2.
How many wabas does it take to screw in a light bulb? 18. 1 to screw the light bulb in. 17 to tell you he once qualified for GWC.
That's right. And I almost made it to the next round. So I won the first game. Actually, like I won 5-2, 5-3. The second game went into overtime, and the third game he realized all I do is one time. and he
Do you
shut
play
that
the same
down.
person?
So I was done.
Or
Yeah, it's best of 3.
oh, okay.
So
no,
I was
no
close.
coaching.
I was
No intermittent adjustments or anything for you. Just like we're gonna just live and
I
die by
haven't
the one
changed-
time.
I haven't changed my play style since NHL 15. And
You're
I'm
like
not
an
gonna start
NBA
now.
team that just chucks threes, and they're like, "Well, it's
We
not
go-
going in. What if we take
We
more
go
threes?"
vertical. Someone's like, "Why do you just go down the boards?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Cause we
you
go
talking about the
vertical,
Golden
baby."
State Warriors?
Talking
Boring
about all the
basketball.
NBA teams.
Basketball is so boring now. I used to love it growing up in the 90s. You had like actual basketball. Now it's just a bunch of guys hitting threes.
I love
like-
it, but it is really hard to watch. Like I genuinely love NBA basketball and college basketball, but the NBA gets really tough to watch until the playoffs. And then it turns into like old school basketball again.
But the other stuff I've been doing, we're actually going to be talking about in our first 2 topics. And the first we want to touch on is Helldivers. So we're going to talk about it last week, but Pez
Well,
wasn't here.
hold on. Breaking news. Pez and I got Waba to play a game that is not NHL.
True.
I did.
Not only
And
that,
hold on. He likes it.
Not
And
only
honestly,
that,
it's a good thing I was there.
he played with a bunch of my degenerate friends. And we had a
Those
great
are
did.
my degenerate friends. Those are my division boys. And I couldn't.
No.
this is how
We played with a bunch of like Twitch guys.
Like, beef.
I allowed. So I tried to come in on a Friday night and I saw he had 3 in his group. And then Waba signed in and I saw Waba went in that group. And I was like,
Sorry.
I'll allow this for now.
Pez's friends are so degenerate, I can't say the name of their Discord on the show.
It's true. You can't. It's not
Like that's. I said it's equivalent of Moss Isley, like a hive of scum and villainy. But they're good at the game. But no,
Yeah, we
it's
had
fun.
fun. So let's who wants to start? So Helldivers is like the new big game. If you haven't like heard about it yet, it's basically Starship
It's
Troopers. The game
Helldivers is the original game. We played Helldivers 2.
to the streets.
So I want to. The only thing I've talked about how much I love the game. We've done a review. You can go check it out. We have a written review and we have a video review up on 3 Dads in the Console YouTube, plus our 3 Dads 3 Dads.
console.com.
I forget it. Yeah, my brain. I want to talk about how I am still impressed with the developers. I love the fact that almost every time I turn this game on, there's an update. Like pretty much every day. The developers is a very small team and they are working their bums off.
Mhm.
I almost said the AASS word. Very close there. I have been extremely delighted to see the transparency almost daily on social media on what is going on with the game, all the changes. They've pretty much been like hinting at all the roadmaps. Like all that stuff sounds amazing. All the cosmetics and all that stuff that's coming to the game sounds great. Sounds like we might be getting swords. Did you like? Is that what I think that's what I was reading properly? But I've been extremely impressed with how they have turned this game around. Like, here's a game where second weekend no one could play it, and people were the only. I truly feel the only people really complaining were the Xbox players, because most of the people I talked to were like, "Oh, it's fine. We made jokes, right? You're in the reserve. You're just waiting to save democracy. There's not much you can do." But they slowly building up the cap, and now it's at 900,000, and we all can play. But think about this: the game's now server cap is 900,000. It was 200,000 at launch. This game barely even came close to that on Helldivers 1, and it's still the #1 game on Steam right now. Like, this is like the game has legs, and I think a lot has to do with the fun. Like today, Pez blew me up within 5 seconds of us playing. Like literally, he was like, "Oh, sorry," boom, and then I blew off the screen. I don't think I laugh as much playing this game as I played in any other game. And I truly think it's the friendly fire. The fact that you can kill your friends and stuff like that, and seeing other people die, it is way too much fun. But I just wanted to give, the roses to the developer, Arrowhead Studio. Unbelievable. They've done a phenomenal job. Well done. Thank you for this amazing video game.
I mean, excuse me. Think about like in their 24-hour peak, they've had 370,000 people play. So it's not like where they hit their peak of 458,000 just on Steam and it took a nosedive. Like there's still a ton of people playing this game. The community has like, I don't know, the community has started this like crazy thing where like people were team killing, and now all of a sudden they started putting out like wanted ads and wanted posters on TikTok saying like, if you come across blah blah blah, they are wanted for treason from democracy. We're coming for you, Gantz. I see you. And like Court said, the developers, I'm part of their Discord. The developers are updating it every day. Problem with super credits, next thing you know, 2 days later, it's done. Problem with servers, a weekend later, they up the cap, they up it again, they up it again. And the game's fun. And it is truly fun. You do a lot of the same missions, but it doesn't matter because it's just a lot of fun to play with your friends, sit in a Discord, get on game chat, and just shoot things, blow each other up, yell at each other, laugh with each other, and just have a great time.
I will also say this. This game wouldn't be as big if it wasn't also on PC.
1,000%
Not even close,
agree.
because I would probably say that 70% of the player base is on Steam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that 370,000 I told you is just Steam. Like, that peak of 450 something thousand at one point is just Steam. So like, that doesn't count people playing PlayStation. So it's possible at some point they were running 600, 700,000 people trying to jam into servers.
Well, no, there was at one point they said that the cap was at 700, and they were showing Steam was showing there was like 500 people playing. So that's why I'm saying there's way more people on Steam playing this game than there is on PlayStation.
Yep. So Sony has already come out and said, like, hey, we're going to bring more live service games like day and date to PC and PS5.
Yeah, I hope so.
What I love most about this game, so obviously the gameplay's good. Again, Court, I think you do a good job like going into it. It gives me some SOCOM vibes, which I love. 4-player party. Like,
I didn't. You know what? Now that you say that, yeah, I do feel the SOCOM vibes.
That's kind of why I think the gameplay resonates with me, but more so is like the lore part. So I find this story to be very interesting, and they give you so little. And actually, I just had an article that my brother-in-law sent to me and my buddy Pancake. So like, I'll tell you about that. It's Helldivers related right now, but basically, like, you don't like it changes how you think about like normal like multiplayer games. So normally Call of Duty, what are you gonna do? Respawn. You have no attachment to this player. In this, like, you can tell you come out of like the pod and you're like cryoed. So you're not the main character of this game. You are for the minute. But once you're done, next person up comes out of that cryo chamber. You're a totally different person.
I turned my voice onto
random, right?
Yeah.
So that I love that because it gives like I wish they randomized the body type too, but they should. I mean,
I like that. I like that.
So you get a brand new person, but like it makes you feel like you're the star, like through training, but you don't have a lot of training. You just figure it out as you go along, and the next person does. And it's just so interesting because it's not normal. Like your ship, it's the same ship, but it's got all these little cryo boys on it, and I love that about it. And also too, like the planets and stuff. Like there's this like Pet said on TikTok, these people like there's a planet called like Malavant Creek, and it was basically space Vietnam. Like people were making all these things like, oh, let's go to the Creek boys, let's spill oil, they're fighting the robots or whatever. And you know what happened last night? We lost it.
Mm-hmm.
We lost Super Earth lost the Creek.
Yep,
so now
sure
the automatons have all this access to new planets, and now all these people like shocked, they're getting kicked out of games, and they're like, the Creek has fallen, avenge the Creek. They're like going on and on about like remember the Creek. It's everywhere. It's wild. Is that a trade update?
Yes.
To us?
Chris Tanev has been traded to the Dallas Stars.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Womp womp.
For nothing.
For future considerations.
The Marco Sturm
second
deal?
round pick. Yeah.
The last thing I want to touch on is that so mother-in-law Zambisaur, so I played with him and my buddy Pancakes last night, but I hate them. He said that there's an actual with the title Game Master who works on this game at Arrowhead. So basically, he's like pulling all the strings and helping create the storyline. So like, it's not random. There's somebody planning it, kind of like a DM for Dungeons and Dragons, and I find it very fascinating that they're having like I said, the game doesn't have a lot of lore. Yeah, it does, but like it doesn't really hint at a lot. It gives you kind of like the bare bones, and like the community's kind of creating it. Now you have this person influencing it, and I think that's what makes it so interesting for me. I feel like not a lot of games kind of like put the story in your face, and sometimes I like that. I don't mind a story-driven experience, but this is one where they just kind of give you enough, and you get to create your own experience. And I think that's really cool, and I wish more people approach storytelling that way. So That's why I like Helldivers. It's literally nothing to do with the game. Like,
That's all right. That's okay. It's honestly like a tabletop RPG in a video game. Here's the sandbox,
Exactly.
make the story, and then we'll craft the story around you.
exactly. And that's not the kind of game I find myself playing. So I'm even more impressed that this
I'm
is
shocked. I almost, as someone who loves the Division, imagine we had friendly fire.
No, it would have been a nightmare. It would have been insane.
and also this game's $40. How?
Yeah, I think that's another thing. It's like it's $40. You can kind of eat, you can kind of eat $40 if you play it for 5 hours and you're like, I don't know if I like it. You can stomach that more than paying $70 for a game.
Have you found anybody that's played it and is like, nah?
No, everyone that has played it has loved it and has continued to play it.
I haven't seen a game like this in a long time where everybody's just like, this game's great.
I've looked for negative feedback and I haven't really seen much.
The
And I
only
don't
thing
mean
you'll find-
constructive. Like, even when the servers were down, people were cool with it.
Yeah,
Just
that
Xbox players, they were so bad.
dude,
Well,
Xbox players
they're-
were like, you know what? How can our first party games be over on the PlayStation? And then PlayStation launches Helldivers. And they're like, hey, bring us that PlayStation game here on Xbox.
It's exactly what we talked about last week. Xbox is going to give you their games. Nobody else is going to give you their toys.
That's right.
No.
So another game we've been enjoying.
Hold on. Can I just
yeah, go ahead.
Xbox is the kid on the street trying to buy their friends.
can I just give a shout out to Matt who crushed it last week?
Dude, assemble.
Big shoes to fill, literally and figuratively. So congrats to him. He did such a great job, and the episode was so much fun to listen to.
Because we talk wrestling.
I love
You
wrestling.
love wrestling.
Dude, there was a lot of wrestling talk. I felt bad that you weren't here. There was a lot of wrestling talk.
I was at a funeral. There's not much I could do about it.
We'll get John next time.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Let's just
You
talk
could do- when-
WrestleMania 17.
how about this?
I'll do it all
When the
time.
game comes out, Matt said he's going to come back and you guys can talk
There
wrestling.
we go. We'll talk wrestling. Speaking of wrestling, my you know who loved the Royal Rumble? My 12-year-old.
It's
She
begun.
was like blown away that 30 women were just like beating the crap out of each other. She loved it.
You know, you guys live in Boston? I thought that happens like every Friday night.
No, we live north of Boston.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not in Boston. Which will happen at PAX. We'll get in fights at PAX. Don't worry.
Let's
about it.
go.
We will not.
No, we're not.
The only fight we're going to get in is when you guys get mad at me when it's like 9:30 and I'm going to be like, I'm kind of tired.
Just wait. If whatever bill we get has something wrong on it, you'll see a
Yeah,
fight.
yeah. Well, there's
Yeah.
a financial
You want
discrepancy.
to know someone who
Waba's
looks at
going
the
into-
receipt and does the math?
I can't wait
Waba's
for
going
Waba to
into
explain
rage.
tax credits to us and like what we can write off. Anytime we like do anything well at PAX, Waba's going to be like, we can write that off.
That was the company line
so
last
true.
on a Thursday when we were walking through. He was like, we can probably write this off. And I was like,
I did buy something at PAX that I just flipped recently. It was like Bioshock shot glasses. They're on sale for $5 and I sold them for $20.
oh my God, I forgot about that. So we're walking through this like little like pop-up store and he goes, hold on a second. And he pulls out his phone and he looks up on eBay and he's like, oh, and he like whispered it to me. He's like, I can get these Bioshock. I can sell these for like $30 and I can buy them here for $5. That's a 6 times my investment. And I was like, I don't care.
It's so funny.
And
That's so
I looked
true.
at him
It's
and
what I
went, so buy him. And then I walked away.
do. He left me, so I bought them, and that's what it is.
I went to the Leaf game and I bought popcorn.
You can't write that off. Actually, you can if you make content around it.
Take a picture
Other
of
game-
that.
Can I write off my flight? Yeah, but how do I write stuff off if I'm not earning income off it?
So it's because if you're creating content around something, so actually you're going to Boston specifically. Well,
Correct.
Canadian tax law might be different, but specifically to do content. That's why we're going. We have media badges. So you may be able to, because you're not going for fun. You're going for work. So
Hanging out with
you
us is
should.
not fun.
You're going for work for this. So you should be able to allocate that to, be.
Waba wants to
it's
make
not
sure
a full
that
write-off.
this conversation is on the record.
I'm just saying we're going for work.
Yeah, we
So
have interviews lined up.
it can be applied
We do have one. I'm actually very
as a
excited.
deduction. It's not a full write-off because we're not like incorporated, but it can be a deduction for like hobby expense, like
Deduction.
in the US.
Deduct.
So I won't get into it. Also, not financial advice.
You deduct a lot, don't you?
I deduct what I'm supposed to deduct. But
Do you
speaking
get a
of,
tax credit every year?
no, not with what I do on eBay. I get held up by my ankles and coins start falling out of my pockets like Sonic gets hit with by a robot.
My man gets shaken down. My man gets
I
shaken
am going
down
to
for
be
his
in a
lunch money.
bad mood in a few weeks, and you guys are going to know exactly why. It's because I'm getting robbed legally. Yeah.
They're Robin Hood.
Dude, eBay's untaxed income. I'm gonna be in such
Did you not know?
No, I do know. That's why I save up. There's a lot of people that don't know that. So when tax season comes around for certain, streamers, they're like, "Oh, well, how am I gonna cover this?" No, I save it all. Well, I don't save all. Scared money don't make money. But I save enough.
For a nice little, you gonna treat us for a nice little steak dinner?
Yeah,
no, I don't have that much.
Yeah,
I told you I'm about to get robbed. I'm gonna do my taxes right before tax.
Half of a McRib. You guys share it.
I'm gonna bring
three dads' profits.
Can you at least get me at Starbucks? I love the Starbucks hot chocolate.
I can do that. I'll have my wife cook you a steak at home. And
they also have Starbucks. Also has the best scones. They have a pumpkin spice scone. It's the best.
I'll bring you Starbucks in case there's not any by there. So I know we're talking about managing your funds correctly, and there's another game where you have to do a little bit of that. Plus, you need to know how to play poker, when to hold them and when to fold them. It's called Balatro. And this game, very popular on Steam now-wise, and you didn't realize the popularity of it until it released. And there were a lot of large streamers playing this. Pez, I know you and I had, were able to play it, and we are going to be having reviews coming out soon. But it's been a really good game, and I find myself playing it a lot in my downtime. But what are your thoughts on Balatro?
It is amazing. So
let's a Steam Deck type game.
1000%, and it runs perfectly well. So let's break it down for the people. It is a roguelike deck builder. Okay, so what that means is you have to go through 8 antes. Antes are there are 3 rounds per ante: a small blind, a big blind, and a boss blind. Your goal is to beat the blind's chip count. How you do that is by playing poker hands, anywhere from a high card all the way to a straight flush. Based on that, you get a certain number of chips multiplied by what they call a mult, but it's a multiplier. And then the kicker is that you have joker cards, and they do all sorts of different things. The joker cards will give you more chips. It'll increase your multiplier, and then it can really help you focus on how you want to build your run. So much like a roguelike, like let's say Hades, if you want to focus on Zeus or Poseidon, you can do that. In this game, example, I had jokers that said anytime you do a hand of 4 cards, it increases your chip count by 4. Then I got another joker that said anytime you do 2 of a pair, it increases your mult by 4. So all I was doing 2 pair, and I ended up winning my first game before we jumped on for democracy. So you're able to then build your strategy around not only your jokers, but any type of cards that you get. Because once you finish a stage, you go into the shop. In the shop, there is no microtransactions. You earn money in the game after rounds, and then in the shop you can buy more jokers, or you can buy card packs, which are jumbo packs. They are card packs, like your playing card packs that give you different kind of cards. There are celestial packs that'll upgrade your hands. So a straight flush can go from a level 1 to a level 2, which increases your mult and chip count. There are buffoon packs, which are full of jokers that you can get. And there are arcane packs, which are tarot cards that will increase or change your hand at any point. So I have been playing. I've probably put now 12 hours into this. I finished my first game today. It was incredible. It is so much fun. I played it also on the Steam Deck. It runs beautifully on the PC. It runs magnificently on the Steam Deck. And it is the perfect game. Again, sit on the couch while your wife's watching a true crime doc or whatever, or your kids are watching, my kid's watching Friends, a show that I absolutely can't stand. And if I'm down there hanging out, man, we'll put on a little Balatro and enjoy myself. And last Saturday, while my wife was going to pick up my older daughter at work, I ended up playing 5 hours, and the time just flew.
It happens all the time.
It's losing a run is, excuse me, can be frustrating as it is in most roguelike games. But I loved it. And seeing that it was really picked up on Steam, that it's out on console. I actually didn't know it was out on console until Waba said that's where he's playing it. I highly recommend it. I really enjoy it. If you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to be streaming it Friday night on my Twitch channel because I like it so much that I just want to keep playing it and talk about it. And what I like about it, not only is it fun and it's pretty easy to pick up, I really like the strategy behind it. The strategy of getting jokers and trying to build runs set around, like, again, like my run today was all about 4 cards. So either like 2 pair, or if I have a pair and I want to discard some cards, throw those into the hand. They're not going to be scored, but it still counts as a 4 card played hand. So increase that chip count, increase that multiplier, and then just keep banging away at it. So I love it. I can't say enough good things about it. I recommend everyone go out and play it. I think it's what, $25 right now.
It's not expensive and it's worth it. Like,
and
I've
had a great time, and like I said, I was playing it before. I played it yesterday before we played our co-op Baldur's Gate game, and I was playing it today before we did Helldivers, because it's a game that you can play for 20 minutes. You're in the middle of a run, you can close it down, it saves automatically, pick it right back up where you left off. It is fantastic. Highly recommended. Waba, you tell me.
I was playing one like from like 4:15 before I streamed the other, like on Monday, and like I just started streaming the rest of the game because I'm like, I didn't think I'd get this far, and people were asking questions and they were like kind of interested, and a lot of people, more than I thought, were like, oh, Balatro, I love this game. Like they've been playing it. Like a lot of people are getting into this and it's great. And I had one recently where it was for the jokers. I don't know how I built this, but it was like face cards trigger twice. Every card's a face card. And then it was like another thing for face card. So it's basically like, you know, I'm getting it's like redoing everything. And it's like, oh, this card triggers twice. So I got this really cool like loop going on at the end of every round that everything would just apply. And I haven't beaten it. I made it to the final one. But it's just each boss has like a certain trait. Like, so maybe it's like all cards are played face down, or like you only get one hand. And sometimes it's really hard. So there's a lot of RNG involved. But I did get a legendary Joker today that I friggin' squandered. But it was a legendary Joker, and basically it says, remove all boss buffs. What? And that could have taken me to the end. I got it out of a tarot pack. It's like a celestial. It says get one random like legendary Joker. So there's so much to explore. I feel like everybody's experience is different. There's like vouchers and like, you know, there's like secret thing. It's, you know, but if you lose 10 games, which I did, you get like access to different Jokers there. So it's just really neat how there's a lot to explore. And again, there's no story, and there doesn't need to be. It's like the opposite of what we just talked about. But it's a great game. Again, there's a little bit of tutorial, and I think the first like 2 or 3 games you'll start to like feel things out, and you're gonna fail, and that's okay. But like the mechanics are so easy. You know, everybody knows poker, and if you don't, you're gonna learn it. And I'm pretty sure, wasn't there a quote about, said like poker, like the game was made by a person that doesn't play poker or something? But
yeah, and also if you don't know poker, that's okay, because they have there's a button that you click and it just tells you what all the hands are,
and it tells you when you pick the cards up.
Yeah, so you don't
so
have
you can
to
select
know,
the cards.
You don't have to know right off the bat what a full house is, as long as you're like, oh, I have 3 5s and 2 3s, and all of a sudden you select them. It's like, all right, full house. And then as you level up those card categories, like a full house level 3 could be 200 chips times a multiplier of 4. And again, you can keep increasing that over and over up to level 10, which is an achievement because I did that on one of them.
Yeah, the same.
I pulled off an achievement while you guys have been talking, and I need to make this a statement. For all the husbands or wives out there, do not make it so you were the only tech support in your house.
It's too late, man. It's too late.
Because when the internet breaks down and you're recording a podcast and your wife can't watch her latest Housewives episode of whatever show, it was like I was getting text. I'm like, hey, whatever. It's just no. I needed to leave a podcast to make sure that she had the internet working. because we're right now where I am right now, I'm getting hit with like 20 centimeters of snow and like 100-mile-per-hour wind.
Oh,
And
that's
so whatever. It's weather. It is what it is. At least I don't have to live where you guys live. Like, come on now. So
Fair
it's
enough.
a drive-by. What the?
Says
Pez was like,
says the man who is coming to visit for
yeah,
a
well,
few
because I
days.
want to go see my friend
For work.
For work
So
purposes
I would just
only.
say to
Work.
everybody, teach them the ways so you don't have to be the only way.
No, it's good. It's good job security to know. Be the only person who knows something.
It's
Much
not.
like our next topic.
How long have you been married? There's no such
Long
thing as
enough.
job security. There's no good jobs in a marriage. There's just jobs.
God, a job in a marriage is like working for the video game industry. Am I right, lads?
That's right. And our next topic is
Get
going to
laid
be
off at any
about
time.
just that.
Yeah, get
Cork, do you
laid
want to
off.
take us through a little bit of this scenario with our next topic?
Sorry?
Do you want our next topic?
Oh, yeah, sorry. My apologies. So since our last episode, PlayStation has laid off 8% of their workforce, and today EA announced that they 600 or 900?
650.
650 people. And not only that, they're going to be canceling a ton of games, including that brand new Mandalorian game that was just announced.
Hmm.
So EA, but Waba found out some little.
Yeah, I've got interesting info I can go into in a sec.
So I will say this before we get it. First of all, this is terrible. I feel bad for everybody. I personally think this has a lot to do with during the pandemic, a lot of these studios and companies ramped up employees because the popularity of video games skyrocketed because so many people were at home, so many people were playing video games. So the demand for video games went through the roof. Well, unfortunately, the demand has been it was a falsehood, right? So unfortunately, it's come back down a little bit, and all these companies answer to shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not making a profit, and I'm talking about the normal profits, like the billions of dollars profits, then those shareholders will start selling their stock and not believe in the company, and eventually the company will go down.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to lay off a lot of employees. We just talked about Helldivers. It's a small studio. You lay off 2 employees, that whole studio shuts down. But they're a small studio. A lot of these studios ramped up, but with the PlayStation news, we lost people from, Gorilla. We lost people from the huge Insomniac had to lay people
Insomniac,
off.
yeah.
Huge games, people still had to lay off, and it sucks. But I want to give a perspective here. I literally last week, my company that I work for laid off a bunch of people. I did not lose my job, but that literally just happened in the last month. My company's laid off a bunch of people. It's not just the video game industry, and that is my only issue with how social media and the space we're all in kind of handles it. They act like the gaming industry is in a bubble, and it's not. Unfortunately, right now, North America is being hit with the highest inflation rates we've seen since the 80s. It's crazy, the inflation rates. Like, Jesus, what's like 6.5, 7% right now? It's nuts. And if you look at most of these companies, if you do the math, they laid off 6 or 7 to 8% of their workforce. It's almost the exact same as the inflation rate. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in right now. So it sucks, but I just wish the people that are reaching out and doing all these, like, look at me, I'm standing up for the people losing their jobs. Remember, there's other people that are losing their jobs in all these other industries, and they don't have a voice going after them at all. So this constant trying to outdo people on the backs of people losing their jobs is kind of gross. So when you put out these big social media posts and you're going after all these people for firing people, it's kind of gross.
Hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. You can go after them and all, that's fine, but the grandstanding, it's gross to me and I hate it.
Well, also, I mean, these companies are still employing people. It's just unfortunate sometimes that places are hired
I know,
up,
I'm not
and
sticking
then
up
it
for the
creates
companies.
no,
I'm just saying, like,
it creates
I literally
redundancies.
almost just lost my
Yeah.
job last week.
Well, it's because of poor planning, because they hire up all these people maybe for a project or something, and then the project's over, then they reevaluate and they decide, oh, we made a mistake.
Or
So that
shareholders
makes
want
sense,
money, like,
but it's not. But there's no human element to it because it's a numbers game, and it's unfortunate because that's not how things are seen, and it impacts people, and it stinks. One of the things that I thought was interesting about the EA, so they're laying off 670 people. That's a lot of people.
Yep.
Now
the
just to give a perspective, so their net revenue, again, this is revenue, $945 billion for the quarter. This is someone who posted at Ethan Gatch, Gach. I just thought this was interesting perspective on X or Twitter, whatever. Their year over year was up 13%. So year over year, like net cash provided by operating activities was 1.264 billion. The biggest thing about this is they actually repurchased a bunch of shares, 2.5 million shares at 325 million during the quarter. So that brought the total to 10.4 million shares for 1.3 billion. Basically, what they did was to make their stock more, basically a higher value. They bought back some of the shares because when you basically sell stock, you're basically more or less like crowdfunding a loan, is how to put it. So the price, yes, it goes up and down based on performance, but it also gets diluted.
Guys, our boy is wicked smart.
But it also gets the price. It also gets diluted because you're putting more of it out there, much like Pez is a Nintendo shareholder. So they let any chump buy that stuff. But when you want to make, another way to keep that, in house and also to retain more ownership over your company, you buy it back. So again, it's strategic because one, it's, instead of like, oh man, we let, 49% of our company be shares, now we're only going to make 30%. We're going to, take that, but also it drives up the stock price because there's less stock to buy. And again, if people want to buy now, there's less shares to go around. Anyway, they spent that. And the person said at the cost of $100,000 per person, so that's probably loaded salary, including benefits, it could have kept each one on for 5 more years at the cost of last quarter's 3.25 million stock buyback. So again, it looks like it's not like EA was hurting for money, but they chose to do an activity that was purely to increase shareholder value.
Yeah, they bought those shares and had to offset the money, so they fired people.
Yes. So again, I'm not saying that's good. It's just it's seeing those numbers together and getting that context. I thought it was interesting. I still don't like hearing that.
Capitalism that everybody fights for and everybody talks about, and everybody says they want their free market. But this is what it is. This is what it is. Every company lays off employees. Every single one of them. What EA did when WABA does the looks into this sounds pretty gross. And a lot of things EA's done in the past sound very gross. So I'm not saying all the layoffs are, all because of this over hiring. The EA one sounds like it's just for the shareholders, but unfortunately, all these people that work for these companies have to answer to shareholders. And if they don't, guess what? That company goes away just as quickly. If EA doesn't do what they're doing, they could probably be more in a situation of who's going to buy EA because they need someone to buy them.
What was that company? Was it like Tencent? Like people like we were trying to go after Ubisoft. It was like a hostile takeover situation where basically they're trying to buy. So if you buy more, Vivendi, that's it. Sorry, Tencent. I didn't mean that. I'm just trying to like, but like basically,
you don't apologize to them. They're the worst of the worst.
Continue. Oh, in that case, I'm not sorry. Go.
Yeah. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. This is for work purposes.
But basically, like, so yeah, if one group, you can buy like 51% of the company, like through stock, and if you do that, you now like basically you own it. You can basically replace everybody you want. Yeah. So that's called a hostile takeover. Ubisoft found themselves in that type of spot, and weren't they like playing with people like to sell us back your stuff because they needed to like offset this other company that was like, well, if you don't want to sell us your stuff, we're just going to buy other people's shares, and we're going to not just buy it. Like if you're worth 100, we're going to offer people 300, and they're going to take it because why wouldn't they? Right. We just tripled their investment. So like that's where you get into stuff like that, and then it changes like the purposes. Like again, I love NHL. A lot of people out there like all the sports games, feedback notwithstanding, but like they put out a lot of great games. Like the Star Wars. With
and in fact, that's what they're going to stick to, right? They're going to stick to the sports games and their normal IPs and no new IPs.
Well, they come out with like the EA originals, which have been really good. Lost at Random, which they all left and did they have a new studio.
Did you not see the new? They're not doing those anymore.
They're getting rid of EA originals.
They're only
aren't they publishing that the new one that I loved it. I'm just trying to look for the thing.
In the news, there's only one Star Wars game coming out now. They're only doing their sports games. They're only doing their consistently selling IPs and nothing else.
Oh no! So they're
all gone.
They're only doing the tried and trues because some of my favorite games have come out of that originals.
As much as and people are going to disagree with me, they can say whatever they want. These new IPs and these new ideas, they're not always selling. There has been a long track record just recently of all these brand new IPs that have flopped, or even deviating. Suicide Squad is the perfect example of something that was tried and true and does very well. The Arkham series, they deviated and guess what happened? The deviation didn't work.
Kingdoms of
Ubisoft,
Amalur didn't do well.
Ubisoft has been trying out all these different ideas. Skull and Bones did not work, but guess what did work? Assassin's Creed Mirage. They went back and did the normal thing, and guess what everybody wanted? As much as people complain, I don't want another Assassin's Creed. Guess what sells every time? An Assassin's Creed. So if you're Ubisoft, are you going to listen to the small? Because I'll say it, us in the gaming industry and us on social, we are the small majority.
Yeah,
Are you
we
going to
don't-
listen to the small majority complaining about something all the time, or are you just going to take the money in the dump truck and just keep doing it? Look at Rockstar. The reason people don't get mad about a Grand Theft Auto pretty much being the same thing over and over again, but just cooler, is because they put one out every 7 years. But if they put one out every 2 years, people will be like, oh, I don't want another. Look at Call of Duty. Everybody's always like, I don't want another Call of Duty. Guess what happens every time Call of Duty comes out? Everybody buys the damn thing and plays it, and then goes, you know what's fun right now? Playing Call of Duty. I had a great time playing Call of Duty, and I probably, you know what? I'll probably jump into that. I'm getting to the point where I don't understand the amount of people like they're standing up for bad games or they're standing up for this. Like, there's so many examples of games that have come out this year. They've been absolutely terrible. So now the game industry has to pivot and say, we can't do that. If we want to survive, we're going to have to go this way. And I don't see any other way around it. They're going to have to continue the same IPs, and games will all be a games of service, and they're all going to be on a service. That's the future of video games. They're all
Well-
going to be a service. TV and media, it's all on apps. It's all a service.
May I?
Well, there's one way.
may
People
I-
just don't buy them.
May I
But that's not
interest
gonna
you
happen.
in a brand new IP called College Football 25?
Oh, speaking of which, that's gonna do numbers.
Banger
No, yeah.
numbers.
100%.
And I'm gonna
Oh.
have at least
look-
one
look-
copy of it.
Look at FIFA.
Well, you're
Look
gonna
at
have.
FIFA. FIFA lost the FIFA license,
Sheesh.
but they were still allowed to. Yeah, you need to give that to him. This is embarrassing at this point.
Oh, yeah,
Give.
in March. For business.
Do you want to know why I haven't given it or sent it to him? Because I don't want that game in the mail.
No, you're not wrong there. But
hand
I'm saying,
transactions only.
look at FIFA. They lost the license for it,
Bad.
but they still got to keep the teams and the names.
Mhm.
And so many people are like, that game's not going to sell. Guess what? Still the number one FC 24 number one soccer game
Of
selling.
course, people complain about Madden. It'll always be in the top 10 every month.
I complained about NHL. I'm still going to get it every year.
EA, Madden especially, Madden and FIFA are like their two hogs, basically, right? They're two whale games. And people will complain about them. And every month when PlayStation or Xbox puts out their monthly top sales, both EAFC and Madden will be in the top 10, if not top 5, every single month.
100%.
And now
So
college
everybody
football
out-
is going to do
yeah.
the same thing.
Everybody cramming in and saying, I want new games, new this, new that. You don't, because more people will get fired. Because guess what? We never put our money where our mouth is. Immortals of Avium. Hardly knew you.
I liked that game, but nobody bought it.
No one buys it because if they
I
don't,
didn't like that game. I played it. And I was like, this game
That's
is
fair. Not for
meh.
everyone. I thought the story was interesting. I thought the gameplay was good, but people didn't buy it. And like, you're right. Like, buy the game.
You know what they
you want-
bought?
That's
They
why.
bought Call of Duty.
That's why I always say it about Persona. Like, I bought, I buy the physical copies. Like, I'm like not just saying that. Like, can I get them on Game Pass? Yes, but I still buy them because I want them to keep making the games. I want to support the developer. Now I know they're a corporate machine. Like, I recognize that. Like, they're not gonna be like, oh man, Waba like really likes our stuff. No, but like, you literally have to do that. Like, and everyone does. And like,
Waba really
people do
likes
that
our
with
stuff.
Atlas.
but
Hey,
also,
they did. That's fine.
to be fair,
Right.
now Persona now is not a new IP. It's
Well,
a well-known
I know.
established IP. But like, if
It was.
if Atlas put out, I don't know, I'm gonna make
They have
up
a new one.
the most Japanese name I can think of. If they put out like,
there's one coming out.
if they put
Ninja
out
Star.
like
Ninja Star
Fantasy
2.
Blue Grand Relic Relinked Rebirthed, people aren't gonna buy it.
Their new
And-
games are Metaphor Re-Fantasio.
Of course it is. Of course
And
it
I'm
is.
gonna, but that's gonna become my
Yeah, but
personality,
Waba,
dude.
Waba, if it doesn't hit real quick, it'll be gone in a flash, and no one even will talk about
If
it.
Helldivers 2 didn't take off the way it did, it wouldn't be.
Mhm.
It'd be done. That
Look at
studio
Foam
would
Stars.
have probably pivoted.
It is
to
made by
something else.
Capcom, and no one. It's done. You can't go on. You can't even find people to play on the servers. Game's
Game
dead.
sold.
Just give
It
me
died.
Monster Hunter, will you?
It's dead. Look at Suicide Squad Killer Justice League. It is made by Rocksteady, one of the best studios that now is in serious trouble. Warner Brothers is pretty much like they're dead
Yeah, man.
because instead of making a
Because-
Batman, and guess what? If they made a Batman game, I would have been in a day and date. Everybody would have bought the damn thing.
Or if they just made a single player Suicide Squad game, I
Well,
think people would have
actually,
bought it.
Greg Miller brought up a good point.
Oh,
If they
that
made
guy.
Batman Kills the Justice League, everybody would have bought the game.
Ooh.
I mean, Batman's their best IP, period. For DC,
So guess what?
period.
I know we've gone off on a tangent. Everybody losing their jobs is terrible. What EA sounds like what they did is kind of gross. But all these layoffs
Failed
are
to-
going to continue to happen, and it's not going to get any better. And it happens every year, but everybody in the gaming industry for some reason acts like, why is this happening? They're getting record profits. That's what every company is doing. They're getting record profits.
Welcome
That's
to
what,
corporate
welcome
America.
to capitalism. Welcome to what America's created. Get over it.
Rise
It
up, my
is what
brothers.
it
Let's
is.
go.
Dive. Hell
But
dive.
don't
Right.
tell me,
heck diving?
because every time they put, look at EA, they went and tried to bring out all these new IPs, all these new games, and it didn't work.
Mhm.
It didn't work.
And the thing is, people aren't going to make new IPs when games are so freaking expensive. Like we've talked, and good friend Luke Wolf in chat today at youtube.com/3dads on a console is talking about sports games. We've talked about 2K like coming in to make football games and hockey games. They're not going to do it anymore because it's too expensive. Like he brought up 989 Studios, which made the Game Day games,
but
Game Day 96.
Dude,
But
those were the best games.
Game Day 98 with Jerome Bettis on the cover was just filth.
Dude,
Filth.
that was the best game. Also, there also was that one route that you could do in the passing play where you throw to the tight end. They would get you a
Wide
touchdown
open
like every
every
single
time.
Yeah,
But think about it, like we had Game Day, we had for football, we had Triple Play, the Triple Play
Quarterback
series.
Club.
Triple Play 99, by the way, still had one of the best fake in-game commercials called
had
Lobster
two-
Cola, and I still think about it.
We had 2K hockey.
We had 2K hockey.
Midway
We
Blitz.
had we had games like standalone games like NHL Hits, NFL Blitz, like all these like MLB. I forget what the
Backyard
ML
baseball. If you want
Slugfest.
to talk about that
Ken
too.
Griffey Jr. Baseball.
All these
Ken
games
Griffey.
gone, right? So now it's up to indie studios to create these type of games, and the
Hey,
big
hey.
boys aren't going to do it because you know what 2K is going to pay attention to? NBA 2K raking in money left and right, right? They
Borderlands
aren't
is
going to
dead too,
spend 400 million, 300 million to put together to pay for a license if you have to for an NHL game, but then B, if they don't, work on the game and to make it so customizable because people don't want Hockey All-Stars 224. They want NHL. They don't want AHL 24. They want the NHL. Right? They don't want whatever the KHL is, right? They just want the NHL. So that's a lot of money to put into a game that may fail. Especially a sports
And
game.
I don't think it's worth it right now when they have to answer to shareholders. It's tough for them to say we're going to put all this money into a game and it might flop because there's been a lot of flops lately because we're in the minority. There are more Call of Duty bros than us. There's more people that are just going to buy Madden, FIFA, NHL, Call of Duty, and the latest Grand Theft Auto.
It's me. I'm sorry.
But that's
No, but
real,
you're
like,
right because
I
those
had
are
so many buddies. Out
that's
of
the
my
zeitgeist.
buddies, they're like, I just buy these games. I have a buddy that just buys Call of Duty and NHL every year, and then a new Call of Duty comes out. He's like, new Call of Duty, but he gets a new console on day and date. But he's buying 3 games a year, and he don't care. That's all he needs.
That's it. That's all he wants. He's good.
And there's so many of those people out there.
Yeah.
So, do we want to still go into the show quickly, or do we want to save that?
We can save it. The show is going to be a rant.
All right,
but I
Pez
do like
can
some of the
cook for a
cool-
week.
I do
Okay.
like some cool stuff that they did about the lefties versus righties and the throwing the ball. But I wanted to end the show a little differently. We're gonna try something differently here at 3dads and a Console. We want to end the show like on a fun note. So we are dads. So each week one of us is gonna bring a dad joke and see. I wish I could make like Waba like drink milk and have it in his mouth so that I could see if he spits it out.
spit
So-
take?
Gonna... Pets is ready. I'm not doing it. I
Hot
don't want
dog
to wipe it off
eclairs?
my...
No. Dude, the hot dog eclairs.
All right.
I told my wife about that and she called the police.
Now, these are going to be, remember, these are dad jokes. They are corny. We each have to bring a different one.
I'm ready for it.
It is. All right, here we go.
I believe in you.
Where do polar bears keep their money?
Where?
In a snowbank.
Nailed it. I almost said in a walleye as a wallet.
I have more.
What's the APY in that snowbank?
What do you call an angry carrot?
What do you call an angry carrot?
Steamed vegetables.
That's actually really good.
What did the triangle say to the circle?
Don't be such a square.
You're pointless.
Oh, wow, that's mean. I have
Kind
one.
of rude.
Why are the windows in ships circular?
I
Why?
don't know.
So the water doesn't hit you square in the face. But
Yeah,
it's really because without the edges, it softens the impact with a full
What do
circle.
lawyers wear to court? Lawsuits.
That's so dumb. So dumb.
I like that one. Any more?
What did one toilet say to the other? You look flushed.
Oh, I thankfully it's a family podcast because I was going a completely different route. with it.
That's like I'm about to say something. No. Well,
Yes,
I
we
like
just,
that. Yeah.
Just something different. We just wanted to especially in the mood days we're dads. We gotta have fun out there.
That's right.
There is so much terribleness in the world. We should just walk around PAX East. First, ask everybody, do you know who 3 Dads in a Console? Are you subscribed to them on YouTube? And then tell everybody a dad joke.
And then punch them.
And then ask if they have Twitch Prime.
What are we? We really are from Southie now, eh? We're
Yeah.
just gonna punch people, take a pack of cigarettes.
Hey buddy, you subscribe to 3 Dads on a Console? No, I've never heard of you.
Do it right now. Pull out your phone. Let me watch you do it.
That's right. Hey, if you're following us, we'll give you an extra $100. And then they follow us, and then we walk away from them.
No, if we get them to laugh, they have to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's guerrilla marketing. I like it.
I'll order a dad joke book right now.
Oh God. Okay, like Ellie. Folks, if you had fun.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like we're going to a video game convention.
Sorry. For work.
Yeah.
But folks, if you had fun, make sure to subscribe to us. You can check us out at youtube.com/and a console, where we record every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Other time zones are lame. Also, you can check our website, 3dadsconsole.com, where you can see our reviews. We are going to have some Balatro ones up. I'm going to be doing a video. Pez, are you going to be doing a written one?
Correct.
As well? Cool. So if you are more interested in Balatro, you can check it out there. If you want to learn more about Helldivers, you can go see Court's review at our YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye,
What if we had
everyone.
final
Miss
thoughts?
you. Oh, final thoughts?
No. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
What?